Hi, welcome to Done with Mondays. My name is Sean and this is my wife Sandra. And today we are going to discuss about intentional spending. So what does intentional spending mean to you and why is it important?
Oh, intentional spending is important, especially when we look at what's happening the last few weeks. And it feels more and more like we might be on the brink of another recession. And intentional spending should be a topic or a subject that we should discuss about, right? Intentional spending to me works on the basis of economics, where there is a limited resource and an unlimited needs and wants, coupled with the fact that it should be intentional, purposeful, and in my case, I spent on, say, education, like learning photography or last year videography and French. And I think that is money put wisely and intentionally.
Yeah, and don't forget about our Japanese lessons as well at the Japanese Association.
That's right. And with that, how would you say where does the intentional spending sit in our six pillars in Done with Mondays?
So intentional spending sits nicely into four out of the six pillars. First one is on financials, where we actually manage our time and our money as well. Second pillar is on building yourself up, managing your own insecurities. The third pillar is on purpose, and it's managing your priorities. And lastly, on the pillar of relationships, that's to be mindful of, keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah, definitely. And with insecurities, they definitely impact us financially, whether we are really mindful of that or we realize that or not. So, if you were to look at many years ago when we used to consume our information through print or through television or radio or word of mouth, we may not get all that news about new products and goods ever so readily like today, where social media is in our face and you might see many different people talking about the same thing, and it creates a sense of FOMO, right? Which is also the term coined by millennials, where you feel like, hey, wait a minute, if they're all talking about it and people that you may know and you could relate to, maybe I need it as well. And it creates that sense of urgency and a need to spend frivolously, right?
Yeah, that reminds me of a time many years ago where I was fixated on getting a luxury watch. To me, at that time, getting a luxury watch was a symbol of, success. You
Like you
made
made
it.
it.
You can use it to flex. And it's also about impressing others. So it was addressing some form of insecurity that I had. So I think fortunately for me, I didn't succumb to buying a luxury watch. And I think,
I think it was a good
yeah,
decision. The current day luxury watch is an old model 5 years later, right? After all, these luxury watch conversation is pre-Apple Watch. Today, I don't think as many people go after luxury watch as much as before.
yeah, it
Yeah,
feels that way.
it does feel that way, right? So when it comes to societal pressure, how do we break out of that mold and tell ourselves, we need to get out of that mindset of following others and being like them?
I think over the years, I've come to a realization that the joy that I derive from material possessions is very temporal. And the joy that I derive from traveling, from new experiences, are far more fulfilling and gratifying. So that has helped me to actually focus my spending on traveling and new experiences instead of pursuing material possessions.
Yeah, and in preparation for this, we also had to go through a bit of a mindset change, right, with our spending because when you're working and you're busy and you tell yourself, okay, you know what, I need to treat myself to a nice meal, or go out to a nice place or check out the new restaurant. You don't think very hard about all these things.
Mm.
But as we started planning for retirement, something had to change, right?
Yeah. In preparation of this chapter of our lives, we embarked on a $1,000 challenge.
Yeah.
And the goal of this was for each of us to spend less than $1,000 each per month.
Oh, and that was disastrous for the first few months.
Yes, we had to increase the amount to $1,500 each per month. However, I think ultimately the goal of this challenge was to make us be mindful of our spending and eventually work towards spending lesser.
Yeah, that's right. And with that challenge, we also had bonus challenges integrated into it to help us to get closer to our goal, where we said, okay, you know what? We're only going to spend $100 for both of us for a meal, 100 and under. And then it went down to 80 and under. And then 60 and under. And eventually, when we came to the end of last year, we were much, much, much closer to 1,000. And some months we were even under 1,000 because we winded up eating at home a lot, maybe eating like one meal, maybe in a week out. So that really helped. And as we moved to Japan and we are together all the time, there was no real need for a separate, $1,000 each. Instead, we have a combined budget.
Combined challenge now.
Yeah, it's about like a teamwork.
But that $1,000 challenge has helped us greatly this year when we are in Japan as well.
Yeah, and in Japan, we also came up with our own little challenge, which is to try and find meals which is 2,000 yen and under per pax. And funny enough, there is actually a lot of it out there, and even set lunches. A few days ago, we just went to a sushi place in the neighborhood, quite near us. And that was like, 800 yen?
Yeah, 800 yen for 10 pieces of sushi, and they're really good value, really fresh, and tasted very good.
Not somewhere with great ambience and something to write home about, but the food.
Neighborhood.
But the food's really, really good. And if you think 800 was really affordable, no. Their cheapest menu, cheapest item on the menu was actually 500 yen.
For 7 pieces.
For 7 pieces. And don't forget the miso soup. Right? And so that really made it very interesting for us because we are constantly thinking of, how do we enrich this life, beyond luxuries. And with that, I actually have a curated list on Google, which you can find some of the cheap eats that we recommend. There's around 70 places at this point in time. If you're interested in it, link is in this caption. So, maybe it's time to round off this episode, right? Thank you for joining us for another episode of We're Done Mondays. And we hope that this has been enlightening and that you would spend joyfully. Doesn't matter what you spend it on. Make it intentional, make it joyful. And with that, see you soon.
See you soon.